Hey there you guys, it is me, RandomJosh, and I'm back again with another Random Monday video. As you can probably see from the thumbnail and title of this video, it's gonna be a bit of a heavy one. I don't even know where to really theoretically begin. So for me now, a couple of months ago, I went on holiday to Mexico with some like incredible family friends of mine. Had a couple of like really bad weather days, had a lot of rain, so it wasn't really ideal holiday scenario. And then came the accident. So I was crossing the road, coming back from picking up some supplies, because myself and a couple of the others were staying in an apartment, so naturally we had to, have our own food and stuff. So we went to the shops, a couple of us went to the shops, and on my way back from the shops, I was crossing the main road and I fell. My legs, I don't know really what happened, but I somehow managed to twist basically both feet as I fell, and then it just kind of went downhill from there, really. As you can probably imagine. So yeah, naturally I thought I was fine, to be honest. I managed to somehow walk it off. I really do not know how, whether that was the adrenaline from falling and just feeling pure embarrassment, because it was middle of the day, middle of like a street, people are there, and I just was like, ugh. And I just wanted to get out of there. So we managed to walk back to the apartment, slept it off, and then the next day I woke up and movement just was not a thing. I had to get my friends to essentially drag me from my bed on my arse on the floor to get to the sofa, just so that I could feel a little bit more with everyone, so I'm not secluded in the bedroom. And then we assessed the situation and I ended up going into hospital. Fun. Great time getting put to a Mexican hospital. And then we had the situation of, I've never had to do something as such as going to a hospital or even any kind of medical facility while on holiday. So this is all very, very new to me. Like most people, I'm sure, are used to the way it is here in England. You just go to the hospital, you get seen, they tell you what to do. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. They usually tell you to go home and that's it. It is not that case. Obviously, while you're out there, they want money. Money is the biggest thing. So we basically had a lot of situations. I was luckily insured. The insurance company was a little bit confused at first. I think there was some confusion with whether I was insured or not. So we had to go through that palaver at the beginning, but regardless of that, I got seen by a doctor, got my legs x-rayed. I'll probably show them on screen somewhere. For the pictures that I have got one picture, I think, of my left ankle, which is the one that I fractured. And I'm gonna probably try and circle the actual fracture because it's really, really hard to see on the actual x-ray documents. Because it looked, and even the doctors out there were like, it looks tiny. It doesn't look ridiculous, but it's the way that it's fractured that needs a little bit more attention. So yeah, I had that, and they turned around and essentially said to me, right, okay, you've fractured your left ankle. So I was like, okay, love that. I imagined that. And then they said that I'd also fractured my right foot. So I was like, oh, great. I've done both legs, even better. So yeah, I had the fracture in my fifth metatarsal, so just on the outer portion of the foot. I couldn't seem to find or see I think, to be honest, again, the x-rays that you can see are really, really difficult to actually visualise, because the fractures themselves were not like, it's not like a proper break where it, like, you can see it's separated. It's kind of like just cracks and all that stuff along the bones. But yeah, so that happened, and they basically said the foot could just rest and it will heal over time, that's fine. I was like, that's just what I expected. But then the ankle, they turned around and said, essentially, you need surgery. And I kind of just had my heart sink at that moment, because I just thought, oh no, like how? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've never in my life had surgery performed on me. And now I'm in Mexico with, you know, pretty much, like, obviously I had people with me, but it feels like you don't have anyone with you at that time, because it's so different being at home in England. Like, people can come visit, you know, you've got all these friends, it's not that hard for them to come visit, whereas when you're secluded away in a complete foreign country, you think, shit, I've literally got XYZ people with me, that's it. And I don't want to, like, pressure them to constantly be with me every 2 seconds. So I was like, I have to basically do this on my own, which was terrifying. So yeah, I had to have surgery on my leg. I'm not going to go into like full ins and outs details on every little step of the way, but I'm going to just kind of try and brief it up. But yeah, so went down for the surgery, and first of all, that was horrifying. So they put me under, naturally, because they were cutting my leg open to install a plate into my leg. And yeah, again, being in a foreign country, this is the first time I've ever had surgery. I've never had to go under on like any kind of anaesthetic or anything of this sort. So I didn't know, one, what to expect. You know, there's also language barriers going on with the staff there, so I was kind of panicking in my own sense as well. So naturally, my body just was not relaxing, and yeah, they got me under in the end. I had an epidural as well to kind of numb from my waist down, which was also a horrible feeling when you wake up and you think, Jesus Christ, what have they done to my legs? I can't feel them. But yeah, I actually as well ended up waking up on the operating table, which was very terrifying as well, to add on to everything that happened. I do think my body just wasn't having the whole let's sleep this off situation. So yeah, had the surgery. Surgery was a success, everything was perfect. They stitched me up with what they call surgical staples, which are, I think, apparently meant to be a lot better. I'm still kind of in the healing process, so I'll be able to judge that at some point. But yeah, had that all done, and then basically I was just stuck in hospital for a while. And they kind of were weighing up the options. My insurance company were also obviously having to weigh into this about what we have to do to eventually get me home, because obviously I was only supposed to be out there for 2 weeks and I didn't want to stay any longer really. So yeah, I basically had to just kind of sit there and kind of wait while they weighed up all the different options. So for the foot, they actually kind of turned around and basically said what they were going to do is put a hard cast on it, and that would have to essentially wait 6 weeks to heal fully, which I was like, shit, that's gonna mean I'm not gonna be able to fly for 6 weeks. That can't happen. So I spoke with the insurance company and the doctors and kind of said, like, look, I think as much as it is fractured, I can still, to a degree, walk on it. I feel strong, I feel confident enough that I can put a little bit of weight on with like the help of crutches, if it means that I can then get on a plane to get me home. so that I can actually heal properly while I'm at home, rather than being again in a foreign country for even longer and then not being able to fully relax and heal properly. So yeah, they ended up agreeing. I got a walking boot for the right foot. The left ankle was just kind of free as such. When I say free, that's really vague. But it was just like basically bandaged up. And that was pretty much all I had on the ankle as well, to protect it. And then, yeah, my insurance company thankfully got me on business class, which was beautiful. Have to say that was like a pinnacle of the experience, because that meant that I could then keep my legs extended for the duration of the flight, because it's quite a long flight. It's about 8 to 10 hours roughly. It kind of varies, but yeah, so that kind of gave me that option, which was really, really lovely. And yeah, I was just so glad to be getting myself back home, because I'd spent basically a total of about 8-9 days roughly in hospital. And being in a hospital where you're not fully comfortable, you don't really know what's happening at any given moment, you're panicking about getting home, because you think, Jesus Christ, am I going to be stuck here for the rest of my bloody life? There was a lot going on, so like naturally I was absolutely exhausted. So then when I got home, I pretty much went straight to the hospital again. Yeah, got seen by one of the doctors there, and they were like, oh, to be honest with you, like that's actually really clean, like, because normally when people hear you're getting surgery, especially out in a foreign country, things get a little bit funky-dory, and they like to check that everything's been kind of done to a standard. And luckily enough, they were like, yeah, we're really happy with how they've done that. So, sigh of relief from me at that point. It was worth it in the long run. And then I just had to kind of keep going back. I went on blood thinners for a little while just to make sure that my like blood clotting doesn't affect anything, and it just helps with all that stuff. I think it's called DVT or something. But anyway, yeah, went on that for a little while. Had to just kind of keep going back, getting checkups, and then after about, on my second checkup actually, because on the first one they did an X-ray and was like trying to basically ask if we could try and do a weight-bearing X-ray, but they put it off just because they weren't sure what the hospital on the other end said. I didn't want to push too far too quickly by getting me putting full weight on my the leg they performed surgery on too quickly. So we waited again, a further 2 weeks went by, and then I went back and did the weight bearing weight bearing X-ray, and yeah, it was perfectly fine. They were really happy with how it had been healing, and then basically said, we don't want to see you for another 6 weeks, and to essentially start walking. So I was like, oh, perfect. Like, I had been doing all my research and just panicking over every little detail, thinking, oh my god, I'm gonna have to go through like rehab, going through like physical therapy to learn to walk again. It was just horrendous thoughts. But honestly, I just, yeah, I've still got the boot on to this day, which you can see here. It's a really fashionable boot, really comfortable actually. But initially they had both of my feet in boots, but this one is now free and it can take all the weight it wants. So I can walk normally on the right leg, left leg still needs a little bit of work. But essentially what I did at first is I walked with crutches that I've got, you can't even see them, but they're just by my door, with the boot on. But I've now actually got rid of the crutches and I've just been walking with the boot on. Obviously I'm still waiting for that appointment, to check up on everything, but they've basically given me the all clear and said, take the boot off. We don't want you walking with the boot on or with any help from crutches or anything at all when you come back and see us. So I was like, oh, lovely. So that's been my journey so far. So I can actually stand up, which is nice, and I can maneuver and walk around. I'm a little bit limpy, but I can move. It's the main thing. But yeah, the next venture is going to be taking this boot off and letting the leg free, and actually trying to essentially walk without the boot, which is going to be quite an interesting challenge, I think. But hey ho, I've got to do it. I've got to get used to moving my foot again and not being scared about doing any further damage, because I think the worst is out of the way now. But yeah, so that's essentially been my journey. I'm also going to probably, I don't know whether I'll have been putting them in so far, but I will be putting in pictures of my scar, the journey of my scar as well, because that has been quite a significant journey from when it was stapled. So trigger warning, it could look a little bit graphic. So if you don't want to see that stuff, click away now. But I will be kind of just quickly running through the journey of the scar. So yeah, we'll kind of kick off with me in the hospital. This is just like basically when I'd got out of surgery, so you can see it's a little bit bloody, but you can't actually see the scar, just because they'd actually patched it up. And being in the hospital on your own, it's really difficult to try and take pictures, because a lot of the time, the only time that they'll take it off is when they're cleaning it and doing all their kind of like general checkups of it. So I couldn't really awkwardly try and take a picture while I was doing it, but I managed to get those kind of like small pictures. And then again, when I got back to England, you can see we have the actual one where you can see the staples. Looks a little bit gross, I can't lie. I still struggle to look at this picture and kind of like, oh. And getting those staples removed is a journey. Especially the ones that were on the ankle itself, like the ankle bone that pops out. Whew. The top ones were fine, but the lower they got, it just got worse and worse, and the sounds of it, oh, I don't want to take myself back to that journey, but it was a journey that I needed to go on, and that led to the scar basically coming out to this. And now I've been taking weekly updates kind of since having them removed, roughly, to kind of just track and see like how the progress is going. And it's been a really, really good progress from what it was initially. Like, especially at first, I was so scared to touch the scarring, because I was like, I don't want to set it off. I don't want to make it reopen, even though I knew in the back of my head that's completely impossible. It's not going to reopen. But in the back of my head, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to touch it. It's gross. But now I'm like happily massaging it, because I've heard that massaging the scar can be really quite helpful to make sure that it's kind of level and you don't get the, I think it's called like keloids or something, that like the little bumps within your scar tissue. But yeah, it's been a really, really interesting process through all of this. But anyway, that has literally been a journey of me breaking my leg and getting surgery done. Again, I haven't gone into like mad detail, I don't think anyway. You might disagree. This probably is going to be quite a lengthy video, but so I apologise first and foremost for that. But yeah, if you did enjoy this video, please let me know. And if you'd like to know a bit more about my journey and the recovery process, because that's like been probably one of my biggest questions around this, is like, how long is recovery? If you want to hear more specific topics surrounding my journey, or have any particular questions as well, please let me know down below. and I will happily go through and answer whatever questions you guys have, or I might do a follow-up video at some point. Maybe once I'm even better and fully walking again, I might do another follow-up video just to kind of update you further on if anything else arises, basically. But this is my journey so far. Hopefully I will be back walking soon and feeling a lot more like myself, because I want to be back to normal. Anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see each and every one of you guys in the next video. Peace out, bitches.